All right. I don't know if you see me yet, so just double checking. You should shortly. And you see me now. I should be there. What's that? There you go. Hey, I'm here. Good morning. Finally getting it done. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties here and there, but technology is great. Working from the house and talking about tornadoes and how to do a tornado in a jar. So thanks for joining me for that. And we're going to get started here. First of all, we're going to talk about at least some of the things that you probably heard. You remember Nick Bender started with tornadoes and how they form. Then Neville Miller talked about thunderstorms, which is what you need for any tornado. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the mystery of tornadoes, how to take that away, and how you can feel a little safer about what's going on. Whoops, let me go back to the scene. There we go. Okay, first of all, what you need for a tornado to form is what we call shear. Wind shear is a difference in wind direction. If you have winds going in one direction and winds going in the opposite direction at different levels, things can spin around, and that's the beginnings of what could be, once again, a tornado. What we look for is for that shear to be evident or around, and if we see it, this only when those thunderstorms produce that sort of shear that we have to be a little worried about that. I'm not sure why my slideshow keeps going back. Oh well. Let me go to the next slide. Man. And questions are coming in, and I appreciate that too. So from this slide, we want to go to the next slide, which should show the column. There you go. Something you may or may not know is that we get about a thunderstorm that usually lasts about 30 minutes. Okay, that's how long a thunderstorm lasts. Tornadoes don't last that long at all. As a matter of fact, a tornado is going to be much shorter than that. The average tornado lasts about 10 minutes. So hopefully that makes you feel a little better. That if you can stay calm for 10 minutes, yes, we're on the air. Usually a tornado warning lasts for, a half hour when we say it's out for a certain county or so. But it will only affect your area for a smaller period of time. Let's use this analogy. Let's say that you hear a fire truck coming in. And it's in front of your house. And you hear the siren. You can hear it as it's approaching. And then you see it as it goes away from your house. Because it's moving and you are stationary, it's not really going to be hanging around for any length of time. In other words, if you can stay safe for about 18 seconds, you can survive a tornado, okay? Because it'll approach, it'll affect your house, and then it'll move away. So if you can stay calm with your folks and know exactly what to do, you can survive a tornado. So hopefully that'll take some of the fear out of it, since they usually stay on the ground for about 10 minutes, but they'll only pass in front of your house for a shorter period of time than that. Now, of course, we had the storm reports coming in from back on May 28th of last year, and those tornadoes were a little different in that they stayed on the ground a little bit longer and also caused some impacts, obviously. Started near Lawrence, Kansas, went to Linwood, Kansas, and then farther to the east and northeast. That was an exceptional tornado. They usually don't last that long. They are usually not that strong. Okay, so tornadoes last only about 10 minutes or so. That one lasted a little longer than that. One other thing to keep in mind, as mentioned, tornadoes don't really happen that frequently. Believe it or not, that tornado that we were talking about there is pretty rare. It was an EF4 tornado with winds of 170 miles an hour. Most tornadoes are less than that. Most tornadoes are in that lower category with winds between 65 and 85 miles an hour. Now, right now, as Neville talked about earlier on one of these chats, we have about 100,000 thunderstorms in the United States every year. 100,000 thunderstorms every year. So not all of them will ever get to that level, and only a few will get to become tornadoes. So keep this in mind. Only 10% of all thunderstorms become severe. So that should make you feel good too. So although we have hundreds of thousands of thunderstorms every year, only 1,200 become tornadoes. And yes, this part of the country gets more than others, but it's not that significant. As a matter of fact, this graphic shows that we get about 96 tornadoes in a year in Kansas City, or in Kansas rather, and 45 in Missouri. These are the neighboring states and how much they get on average. 51 in the state of Iowa, 45 in Minneapolis, tying Missouri, 57 in Nebraska, 54 in Illinois, 53 out toward Colorado, 62 on average in the state of Oklahoma. Believe it or not, Florida gets quite a few of them, and Texas is number one. So we are in the top 10, but we're barely in the top 10 in Missouri with 45 tornadoes every year, 96 in the state of Kansas. Okay, now I'm hoping I can show myself. There I am. And what I'm going to do now is the tornado in a jar experiment. So here we go. What you need is, and we'll have questions at the end, by the way. What you need to do this, and you've probably seen this before, is a tornado. You've probably seen these where you can get them and you spin them around, and there you go. Tornado in a jar. I'm going to try to give you the recipe on how to do that by yourself with just some stuff that you have maybe at house. Okay, this is a jar, a mason jar filled with water. What you need for this is a little bit of soap, some food coloring, a teaspoon of salt. That's it. So what you need the salt for is to keep the suds from getting too big, because if you add too much soap and you have all the suds hanging around, then it'll look like a washing machine as opposed to a tornado. So here is my soap. Here's my toothpick because I only want to add about 1 drop of it. And because I want my tornado to not be greasy, I use Dawn. Just kidding there. 1 drop is all you need. There we go. Swirl it around for a little bit. Salt's already in there too. Put the lid on. And this will act like a regular tornado, believe it or not. And the reason I'll explain in just a second. What you want to do, if I put it in front of the camera, what you want to do is shake the top vigorously. And if you can see it one more time, there you go. That looks like a tornado. And the reason it looks like a real tornado in water is because, believe it or not, water and air behave the exact same way. What I mean by that is, believe it or not, water and air are both fluids. And when we talk about weather, we use the same kind of terms that you use when talking about water. Streams, like we talk about the jet stream. And so when we went through college and we had to take a lot of math, one of the things we had to study was the way water moves and behaves. And that exact same way that water moves and behaves is exactly how air moves and behaves. I'm just going to add a little bit of food coloring to this so you can maybe see the tornado a little better. And right now you can't see it, but my cats are more curious about how I'm doing this than they were last night when I was rehearsing. Hi guys. All right, one more time. And a lot of questions coming in here. Hi Stephanie, how are you doing? Jill, what's going on? We are in tornado season right now. March through June is usually what you consider tornado season. And lo and behold, when you are thinking about tornado safety, please keep these things in mind. There you go. So once again, it's a real simple explanation. Water, salt, a jar. Best size jar to work, I think, is a jar that's taller than wide. So a peanut butter jar or a jar of jelly or something left over like that would work just great. And that would be one way for you to be able to make this. I'm going to try to scroll through these. Hi, Deb. How are you? Hi from Hardin. Hayden, how are you? Hayden, everybody's looking here. Hello, coming in from Northmore. Connie, how are you? A lot of questions coming in here. Oh, you're very kind talking about that. So I'm going to open it up to a few questions. You hate tornadoes. I do too. Because, you know, I don't mind thunderstorms, but tornadoes I really could do without. I'm going to put my glasses on because this screen's kind of small. Josiah, how are you? Love this. Very educational. I'm hoping so. And I'm hoping if you guys have questions, is an EF4 tornado the strongest type of tornado? Jennifer, no. The EF scale actually goes up to EF5. And we were not there with an EF tornado of EF5 strength, but it was a EF4 back last year with 170 miles an hour. So it can be quite a bit stronger than the average one since most of them are on the lower end. Let's see, how many tornadoes did we get in 2019? I don't remember right offhand. I showed you the averages, where it's in the 90s for the state of Kansas and the 40s for the state of Missouri. I don't know specifically the entire tally for Missouri, but I can certainly look that up, and I'll post it up here after we end this particular one. Longest running tornado, how many miles did it travel? Diane. It's the tri-state tornado back in the 1920s. It started in southeast Missouri, went through southern Illinois, went through southern Indiana, 293 miles, killed about 2,000 people. Back in 1925, why? Because back then they didn't have broadcasters. They had not much radio, they didn't have television, so a lot of people had no idea this thing was heading right for them. And it caused quite a bit, obviously, of death. And that's part of the reason why back in the 1950s, the Weather Service decided to come up with the whole watch and warning program. The watch to let you know that things could develop. A warning means to take cover. So when you hear us talk about a tornado watch, that means we're watching. It could happen. It may not happen. A warning means you definitely need to take cover. And as I said before, if you can stay calm for 18 seconds, by the time a tornado approaches, impacts you, and leaves on the other side, it's just going to take 18 seconds. So as long as you stay safe, know what to do, protect your head, go to the lowest level possible, and all the meteorologists will be reviewing some of the safety rules later on as well. But those are just some of the things to keep in mind. Let's see. No, EF strong is the strongest. Okay, people are already answering the question. There you go. So, moving farther down to the south, the place is very hopeful. Thank you so much. I'm glad. These have been fun to do, honestly and truly, and sorry for the technical difficulties, but I am going to go back through and look at some of these other ones that are, how big tornadoes grow. Wow, I think the widest tornado I've seen is about 1.5 miles, 2 miles wide. That was Wichita Falls, Texas, a few decades ago. But most tornadoes are less than a football field wide. Most tornadoes only stay on the ground for about 8 minutes or so. Most tornadoes also bounce, like that tornado in the jar that I showed, because it's kind of bouncing back and forth where you see it kind of pulse and then it rises right back up into the cloud. And that's kind of what they do. They don't necessarily stay on the ground all the time. And also, they don't drill into the ground to find out where the people are hiding. So as long as you go to the lowest level possible, putting as many walls between you and the outside, you can survive a tornado, as long as you stay calm for about 18 to 20 seconds. How much salt do you use, Denise? Just like a pinch, less than a teaspoon. It depends also on how big you make your jar. I would say just enough to keep the suds from getting too big. That's all you really need there. So once again, that's a cat. Once again, a teaspoon of salt, 1 drop of soap on a toothpick, water, and a jar that's more tall than it is wide. So a baby food jar may be too small because it's more wide than tall. But peanut butter jars work good. Mason jars work great too. There you go. Heat house. Okay. So these questions are coming through. We appreciate that. And I guess I will go through and answer these as well. There will be other ones. So a question for Brian. Stephanie around how do you know the most about the job? What do you like most about your job? You know, I've wanted to do this ever since I was a kid growing up in Cleveland, Ohio. And for me, I like talking about the weather. I like, obviously, educating people because I think knowledge is power. The more you know, the safer you'll be, and also the calmer you'll be. And I remember the whole reason I got involved with weather because I was scared of thunderstorms. I hated thunderstorms because I hated thunder. And if you ever look at little kids when they're looking at fireworks, they hate the loud noise. I hated the thunder. I didn't know when it was going to happen. It took me by surprise, so I hated thunderstorms. But I wrote a gentleman who was on TV in Cleveland, Ohio, named Dick Goddard, and he wrote me back and invited me down to the TV station, explained to me what a thunderstorm is, and that's only a noise. It won't hurt you at all. And after that, I said, well, maybe I want to do what he's doing, which is explain what weather is and how it can keep people safe. So that's what got me interested in it. And Kaylee would like to know what is it like to be a meteorologist? It is really fun. I really enjoy it. And thanks for Jeremy, who's taking these questions and kind of putting them in one area so I can see them under the KNBC 9. What's it like to be a meteorologist? It's kind of fun. If you get bored easy, it's kind of like being a detective because you don't have all the answers there. So it's kind of clues, putting this clue with that clue. And so for me, I like it. When, like last night, I said, we're probably not going to get above 40 degrees today. And so far, knock on wood, it's very cool that we're going to stay that way. So I like to be able to kind of use my brain and use my mind to think, okay, I don't have all the answers. I don't know exactly what's going on, but at least this way I can let you know what I think is going to happen. And when it happens, like I say, I feel very good about that. Why did the sirens go off 2 times on Wednesday? Good question. That comes in from Hope. Usually at 11:05 on a Wednesday is when they test the sirens. And usually the first of the month on a Wednesday is when they test the sirens as well. So maybe they were going through to make sure that their first power was working, and then they would probably switch to their generator to make sure that that could also make the siren sound. So I'm sure it was just a test that they run on the off chance that we'll need those later on. Because again, tornado season goes from March through June. So we're right in the middle of it. We're in April right now. Knock on wood, no tornadoes yet, but that will be changing. Nothing happening anytime soon, so don't get worried about that. But we have plenty of time before we have to worry about tornadoes and thunderstorms. It's going to get warm once again, by the way, but tomorrow morning, very cold. Let's see, what other questions? A lot of them are coming in. Wow, thank you so much for being here. And if you do the tornado in a jar experiment using, once again, a toothpick, soap, water, and a jar, send them to me, and I can post some of them, especially if it's a video, because I think that everybody's reaction as soon as they see it happen in their jar in front of them, the eyes get real big, and it's usually a good way to maybe excite and also take some of the fear away. And I hope I did, because tornadoes really don't last that long. They don't impact your one house and keep hanging out in your one neighborhood. They keep moving. And so if you can stay safe and understand that they're pretty rare too, because if we have, as Neville talked about, 100,000 thunderstorms in the whole country every year, and only 1,200 become tornadoes every year. So here's the number of thunderstorms. Here's the number of tornadoes. Here's the number that will affect Kansas or Missouri. And here's the number that will affect one city in those 2 states. So we're in pretty good odds that we don't have to worry every time we have thunder and lightning, every time we have a thunderstorm, we're going to get a tornado. No, it takes a lot of ingredients. And I'm sure the other meteorologists later on when we do these classrooms will be talking more about that as well. Oh, so that is it. There's a tornado picture behind me. That's kind of the reason why I decided to do this backdrop here. Thanks again for joining me here. Thanks for putting up with some of the technical difficulties, but I think we got it there. And I'll go back and look at some of these questions and answer them for you. And we're going to continue to do these KNBC classrooms into next week and probably until further notice, because I think it is helping cut down on the boredom, also the educational value. And that's one of the things that all the anchors and reporters really like. And so it may not always be about weather. Rachel Sanchi did a quick little snack in her kitchen. I know Laura Martz is going to be talking next week as well. So it's not always about just the meteorologists. So please keep tuning in, and we'll keep everybody at least somewhat entertained and educated as we're trying to get through this all together. And that's the other thing we have to remember. We are all in this together. So once again, just stay calm. Remember that we're just going to try to do the best we can with what we have, and know that it is going to get better eventually. All right, I'll see you tonight on KNBC 9 News at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, KCWE at 9, KNBC 9 News at 10 o'clock. And just the last parting word is tonight it's going to get kind of cold near 30 degrees, which is going to cause a freeze, but it does warm up for the second half of the weekend. That was a preview. Take care.